Hi, I'm Freddie Hiebert, the President and CEO of TextProject, a not-for-profit aimed at supporting teachers and their students in reading complex texts. My topic today is how teachers can prepare to teach complex texts by using information that is part of Lexiles. For the first time in a standards document, the Common Core State Standards has a standard, Standard 10, devoted solely to ensuring that students increase ability to read complex texts. The Common Core used Lexiles to identify a quantitative staircase of text complexity through which students need to move. Now, how are teachers supposed to use this information? Lexiles, like most readability systems, are good for sorting large groups of text. But that isn't what teachers do. Teachers typically have particular text that they need to teach. What does it mean for a teacher to teach a text with a 700 Lexile? And why do Grapes of Wrath, a text taught in high school, and Where Do Polar Bears Live, a text for early readers, have a similar Lexile, around 700, which is toward the end of the Common Core second grade step in the text complexity staircase? These Lexiles don't make sense until you examine what makes up a Lexile, sentence length, and word frequency. This information helps to explain this strange sorting of text. Grapes of Wrath has shorter sentences on average than Polar Bears. This makes sense. After all, there's a great deal of dialogue in a novel like Grapes of Wrath, while Polar Bears is an informational book without dialogue. Sentences and dialogue are almost always short. But when it comes to vocabulary, Grapes of Wrath is somewhat harder. Not a great deal, but somewhat. The lower the word frequency score, the harder the vocabulary in the text. Grapes of Wrath, with its shorter sentence length, has a similar Lexile because of that, but a small vocabulary difference between these two texts makes a huge difference in meaningful comprehension when considered across the 200,000 words of text in Grapes of Wrath rather than the 900 words in Where Do Polar Bears Live? The information on sentence length and word frequency is a great way for teachers to start zooming into what makes text complex. That is why in Teacher's Guides in Scott Forsman Reading Street Common Core, this information is given for each focused text. Teachers use this information to begin delving into what makes a text more or less complex for their students. Both parts of a Lexile, sentence length and word frequency, are important, but word frequency or vocabulary is especially important since it is one of the strongest indicators of a text difficulty. And that is precisely why word frequency information is included in the Reading Street Common Core edition at the front of every unit on a page like this one. The word frequency measure gives a sense of how many rare words are in a text. Rare words are ones that occur once or fewer in every million words of text. The word frequency measure doesn't tell you exactly what the rare words are, or exactly how many there are, but it does serve as a road sign, either caution ahead or okay to maintain the speed limit. The range of word frequency is apparent on this table. High numbers mean fewer rare words. Lower numbers mean more rare words in text. Let me illustrate how a teacher would use this information with two texts from the Common Core exemplars. Telescopes from the bottom of the scale, where texts have many rare words, and the Treasure from the top end with few rare words. Lexile information on these two texts from opposite ends of the vocabulary word frequency scale appears here. On the Common Core staircase of text complexity, the two texts represent vastly different steps. The treasure in the middle of the second, third grade step, and telescopes at the beginning of the grade 9 to 10 step, even though in the exemplars in the Appendix B of the Common Core, it is identified for grades 4 to 5. The two texts may be vastly different in their lexiles, but they're very similar in their sentence lengths. Both of the texts have sentence lengths around 12 words per sentence. Why are the texts so vastly different in their lexiles? Word frequency. One text is in the group with the most rare words, the other in the group with the least rare words. As this information demonstrates, word frequency or vocabulary matters a great deal. An illustration from telescopes shows numerous technical complex words. In fact, the number of rare words is so great and their meaning so complex, a teacher might decide that this text is simply not appropriate for 4th or 5th graders. But if the text is mandated in a curriculum, the teacher might decide to design a lesson specifically around the vocabulary. For this lesson, a handful of pictures of telescopes gotten from different websites could be especially useful. In looking at an excerpt of text from Treasure, from the end of the scale with the fewest rare words, some rare vocabulary is evident, but by no means on the level of telescopes. For many second graders, the level of vocabulary will be manageable. A word such as inscription can be explained fairly easily, a label with writing, but this sentence is a reminder of another piece that goes into making up a lexile. Sentence length. An average of 12 words per sentence means that the text for primary students has some very long sentences that may be hard. This sentence also reminds the teacher that a text genre, in this case a fable, contributes to text complexity. The vocabulary may not be a problem for proficient second graders, but the complex sentences and the type of text may be. Teachers are now moving into the qualitative analysis that is part of the Reading Street Common Core summary. They begin to consider the background knowledge and other text features, but the process of zooming in on what is critical to teaching text can begin with the quantitative information, especially on vocabulary or word frequency. By providing this information, Reading Street Common Core aids teachers in knowing how and what to teach to increase students' capacity with complex texts. Thanks for your time, and I look forward to talking with you again as we work to bring our students to the highest possible levels of literacy.